Hello and welcome. I'm Uday Pratap Singh. You're joining us on NewsX. Today we will be looking at the India-European Free Trade Association Trade and Economic Partnership Agreement that has established India's first free trade agreement with 4 developed European nations of Iceland, Liechtenstein, Norway and Switzerland, with commitments of $100 billion in investments and the creation of 1 million direct jobs over the next 15 years. This image is of the landmark Trade and Economic Partnership Agreement between India and the EFTA. Its states, which are Iceland, Liechtenstein, Norway and Switzerland. They entered into a trade agreement. This marks the dawn of a new era of prosperity and mutual growth as we embark on a journey of renewed cooperation with the European Free Trade Association nations. This was the India EFTA TEPA signing ceremony where the trade agreement was signed. As we can see in this picture, the atmosphere seems great. Everyone seems content with everything that went on. This event brought together a range of businesses and representatives from all parties, providing an opportunity to establish new ties and strengthen existing partnerships. The dignitaries welcomed the shared objectives to mobilize $100 billion of investments in India over 15 years and to support the creation of 1 million direct jobs with an investment facilitation mechanism to monitor delivery. Prime Minister Modi, following this, had made a statement saying that he is delighted by the signing of the India EFTA Trade and Economic Partnership Agreement. This landmark pact underlines our commitment to boosting economic progress and creating opportunities for our youth. The times ahead will bring more prosperity and mutual growth as we strengthen our bonds with the EFTA nations. He also said the culmination of efforts to finalize an innovative, well-balanced trade deal that reflects our respective developmental aspirations is commendable. One of the most pioneering free trade agreements ever concluded between our countries, the TEPA emphasizes our steadfast commitment to shared prosperity and our drive to cultivate a stronger, more inclusive partnership between India and BFIA, furthering the aspirations of our people. He said that despite structural diversities in many aspects, our economies possess complementarities, in fact, that promise to be a win-win situation for all countries. He also went on to say that with the opening up of enormous trading and investment opportunities, we've reached a new level of trust and ambition. The trade agreement symbolizes our shared commitment to open, fair, equitable trade, as well as generating growth and employment for the youth. In the last 10 years, India's economy has taken a quantum leap, moving from being the world's 11th largest economy to the 5th largest. He also said our next goal is to make India's economy the 3rd largest economy in the world. He ended his message by saying that he hopes this agreement marks the beginning of a new chapter in the journey of our nations towards a more prosperous future for all. Here's what 4 leaders of the 4 countries in the EFTA have to say on India.
I am really excited to be here today to celebrate the entry into force of the Trade and Economic Partnership Agreement. Thank you so much to the Indian government for the nice arrangements being made. The Trade and Economic Partnership Agreement will open up new doors for our businesses. It will create opportunities for innovation and for sustainable growth. It will make people meet. I'm really pleased that we have come here today together on 1st October, and I'm really excited for the opportunities that lie ahead of us.
So yes, I know India well. I've been here for many times, but the first time I was here, I was a child. It was in 1974, so I was 9 years old, 51 years ago, as you said, and it is a very different country now. So in my personal life, I've seen the development of modern India and everything that you have achieved as a society, as a country. And given everything that's happening in the world economy and in world politics and in geopolitics, India is becoming an increasingly important country also for us. I mean, we are relatively far away as a North European country, but we recognize the importance of a fast-growing economy, and also that it is important for Western countries like ours to have a broader set of friends, partners, people to work with on several global issues. And there are many areas where Norway and India can work closely together. Our bilateral relations are excellent, but we have agreed to strengthen them. Right now we're in the final stages of ratifying our free trade agreement between FTA, which is Switzerland, Iceland, Norway and Liechtenstein on the one hand, and India, and that will greatly improve our commercial trade and economic.
India's progress in terms of eradicating energy poverty. When I came into SE for All in Vienna in 2016, the number of people without access to electricity was well over 1 billion people. Through mainly India's efforts, that number has been reduced. It still stands at 650 million.
Following this, we will now show you a clip of Piyush Goyal, who's spoken about the largest opportunities that the India FTA TEPA opens up.
There are areas in professions like nursing, accountancy, technology, artificial intelligence, there are areas in education, audiovisual services, culture, tourism, recreation. So many areas that they take traction. In industry, I think working on life sciences, clean energy, working together on precision engineering and manufacturing, food processing, the goals that we can together create to the rest of the world. And we can establish clear law for Christ, back to point forward.
India and the European Free Trade Association, or the EFTA, reached a major milestone on the 10th of March 2024. Both sides officially then signed the Trade and Economic Partnership Agreement, better known as TEPA. The agreement was a result of years of negotiations and aims to strengthen India's trade investment and cooperation with some of Europe's most advanced economies. After months of preparations and ratifications, the TEPA finally came into effect on the 1st of October 2025. This marks a historic moment for India, as it becomes the country's first ever free trade agreement with 4 developed European nations: Switzerland, Norway, Iceland and Liechtenstein. The deal opens new doors for Indian exporters and investors in Europe. One of the biggest highlights of this partnership is EFTA's massive investment commitment. Under TEPA, the 4 nations have pledged to bring in $100 billion in investments and create 1 million direct jobs in India over the next 15 years. This investment is expected to drive growth in manufacturing, innovation and technology sectors. This commitment is historic because it is the first binding investment pledge ever made in any Indian free trade agreement. Unlike earlier FTAs, which mainly focused on goods and tariff cuts, TEPA goes a step further, turning promises into enforceable economic action. Now, as part of the agreement, the EFTA has offered tariff concessions covering 92.2% of its total tariff lines. That means 99.6% of India's exports to these countries will now enjoy duty-free or preferential access. This provides a strong boost to sectors such as pharmaceuticals, textiles, gems and engineering goods. On the other hand, India has opened up 82.7% of its tariff lines, accounting for 95.3% of EFTA's exports. At the same time, India has safeguarded its key domestic sectors like dairy, soya, coal and agriculture, ensuring that farmers and small producers remain protected from foreign competition. The services sector also stands to gain significantly from TEPA. With digital delivery and greater commercial presence, India's IT, consulting and education services are expected to see strong growth in the EFTA markets. This aligns with India's larger vision of becoming a global hub for skilled services exports. The agreement also facilitates easier movement of professionals across borders. Mutual recognition agreements in professions like nursing, accountancy and architecture will allow Indian professionals to work in EFTA countries with fewer regulatory hurdles, promoting both employment and knowledge exchange. The 4 EFTA states have also pledged to enhance foreign direct investment in India by $50 billion within the first decade of TEPA's implementation. This inflow will strengthen India's industrial base, create jobs and promote advanced technologies through collaborations with European companies. In essence, the Trade and Economic Partnership Agreement, or TEPA, stands out as one of the most ambitious and forward-looking trade deals India has ever signed. It not only boosts trade and investment, but also builds bridges in services, skills, as well as technology. It represents a new chapter in India's economic engagement with Europe. And joining us now live to look at this in greater detail is Dr. Jayajit Bhattacharya, President, CDEPR. Dr. Bhattacharya, what makes this agreement different and special?
I think right off the bat, this is the first trade agreement that we have had, which has an investment clause in it. Typically, the free trade agreements have a clause of investment protection, which is significantly different. But here, there is a clause where the European nations is saying that they will invest $100 billion into India, which includes $50 billion in the first 10 years, another $50 billion in the next 5 years. Now, this is very unique. This has not happened with any other free trade agreement. And one of the reasons why this happened is because the tariffs from the European side on Indian goods were anyways very low. So when we were getting into an agreement, then what is it that we negotiate with, and what are the tariffs that the European nations have to reduce? And therefore, this was a very innovative clause that was brought in, which is the investment clause. And I'm pretty sure that this will get replicated as we look at the EU-India FTA also. Now, if you look at it from the European perspective, to be able to shift some of their manufacturing into India through this clause is actually beneficial for them, because India provides a much more economically attractive, efficient ecosystem for manufacturing, given our low wage cost and high skilled labor. So that's an advantage that the Europeans will actually go ahead and leverage with or without this agreement. This agreement provides the guardrails to make sure that they do put in this investment.
Dr. Bhattacharya, also as far as, of course, now this agreement's contents go, in what way will our economy be boosted? In what way will jobs be created as a result of this agreement?
You know, as we all know, that India is really a services economy as of now. We are obviously trying to increase our manufacturing, but our most important focus in the trade agreements was to make sure that we are able to do services export, and not just services export, but also movement of skilled labor, because that's what leads to a significant amount of funds coming back into India. And therefore, in this agreement, we have a mutual recognition clause, wherein key professions such as nursing, accountancy, chartered accountants, architects, they will be recognized. The Indian chartered accountants and nurses and architects will be recognized in these 4 countries, and therefore it will be an easier movement for them into the European Union, or more specifically into the FTA countries. And therefore, that leads to a much larger amount of business happening. Because if you look at, let's just say, accounting, unless there are a few accountants sitting in the FTA countries, you will not be able to bring in business into the rest of the people coming, being in India. Similarly, there will be a significant increase in jobs from chemical sector, from the agricultural sector, and so on and so forth. So it's a pretty broad-based impact that India will have, specifically at a time where we are facing headwinds with the US, given the tariffs that the US has put against India.
Dr. Bhattacharya, can this agreement then be a model for future such agreements as well with other nations?
Absolutely, absolutely. In fact, the way agreements, free trade agreements happen is that the previous agreement is taken more or less as a benchmark, and then more clauses are added to it to make it a more free, in that sense, a more free trade agreement. Therefore, whatever we have conceded in this agreement and whatever the European countries, the 4 European countries have conceded, will be taken as a benchmark as the EU-India FTA also moves forward, because that's the biggest free trade agreement that's happening between 2 very large economies. Between the European Union and India, it's a $30 trillion economy we are talking about, which is roughly 30% of the global economy. So the next FTA will pick up components from this particular FTA.
All right. My thanks to you for joining us with your perspective on this story, Dr. Bhattacharya. On that note, we're slipping into a short break.